place where you have to.
Lynn,
Yes.
are you able to send me the link from yesterday morning with Laurie Coburn and Sharon?
Yes, I will send that to
Okay,
you.
thanks.
All right, there we go. Susan Michelle is live here on ACIM Gather. This mic is all yours. Place where you have to.
Lynn, are you able to send me the link?
That's recording. All right, there we go.
Am I ready? This is Susan Michelle. I am here in Western Massachusetts. I am the author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. I teach the transformational truth of A Course in Miracles. And I do see a few other people in this chat room. I see Regis, I see Lynn, of course, Zuma, Zulma, Karen, Elizabeth, Dove. If anyone has anything to share, I would love, love, love for you to share along with me, because I always learn so much more when we talk about A Course in Miracles together. So I will start with the introduction of my book. And what I write is I write, my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection to all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with three simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. And I think that really aligns with the introduction of A Course in Miracles, which states in three simple sentences the foundation of the book. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And what that means is the only thing that is real is the love. So I am much more able to be a conduit for God's divine miracles when I am joyful, when I am feeling whole, when my mind is at peace. And when I am not at peace, I have connected to the ego, and then I cannot serve God in the way that I'm really able to. And I would say on this earthly plane, it's a challenge. It's a mental discipline to keep ourselves plugged into the God socket as often as possible. Today's lesson is lesson 61 in the workbook for students. We just finished a series of reviews, and today's lesson is lesson 61. I am the light of the world. And I have been listening to a few different interpretations of that lesson. I mean, it's a brilliant lesson, just as they all are. It's actually humble, for us to realize that we are a part of God. And whenever our ego feels the need to put ourselves down, when we're saying, oh, I'm not good enough to be the light of the world. Oh, I'm, lowly. Oh, I'm stupid. Oh, I'm not enough. I would say that's a big one for me. I don't think I really put myself down too blatantly, saying things like I'm stupid. I've learned not to do that, but I know there's an egoic mantra that keeps playing itself out in my subconscious mind. I'm not good enough. A big one for me is I have to be perfect in order to be loved. So I'm always trying to do everything perfectly, and to just know that I am the light of the world, to just know that I am enough, to just accept the fact that there's nothing I can do to make myself anything less than being the beautiful light of the world. It's a humble way of seeing myself, and to really implant that statement not only into my conscious mind, but into my subconscious mind, into my unconscious mind, to know that I did not create myself. God created myself in his image. So there's nothing I can do to not be good enough. I mean, just accept the fact that I am the light of the world. And I will even read a little of this morning's lesson to get my juices going here. It is so beautiful when we can not only intellectually understand these principles, but when we can embody these principles, when we can live these principles. What Jesus writes here is, who is the light of the world except God's Son? This then is merely a statement of the truth about yourself. It is the opposite of a statement of pride. It is the opposite of a statement of pride, of arrogance, or of self-deception. So we're not to say, I know growing up, whenever I said great things about myself, my mother would say, "Oh, you're not being humble. You're not supposed to say good things about yourself because it's just not what nice, humble girls do." So I kind of grew up putting myself down. And now A Course in Miracles is teaching me the opposite. It's actually when I put myself down, not only am I putting myself down, I'm putting God down, because God created me in his image. And who am I to put God down? So when I acknowledge that I'm the light of the world, when I acknowledge there is so much power within me, that's what God wants me to do. But again, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of connecting to source energy. And when I can acknowledge and embody my strength, I allow myself to become a conduit for God's divine love. I have this other poem to the right of me, right above my Course in Miracles book that I printed out. This is Marianne Williamson's famous poem. She says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." And I could go on, but A Course in Miracles, it's just all about embodying the the um the empowerment, the strength, the beauty within ourselves. And our strength is the same as our innocence. Any comments, Zulma? I see Zulma's in the room. Hi, Zulma. So great to see you.
Likewise, good afternoon. Um, it's for me, it's more than power within me, but I am the power. I am the power because God moves through us as us. God moves through us as us. God works through us as us. We are one with it. It's not part of me, it is me. And that's where the one, because when you start talking parts, then you're talking separation. If to say that you're part of God and I'm part of God, and no. To say that I have the power and I have the power, no, it's all one power. That same source energy it's only one. And the goal for me is less and less to not be plugged in. The goal is to remember, to not let my mind wander, to not be in the sleep of forgetfulness. That's the goal. If the goal of the course is peace, that's when I'm at peace. Just most of the time, I have to admit. I'm glad to be able to say that. Most of the time, intentionally, when I'm not feeling something, that means I have disconnected. I have chosen to forget that I'm the light of the world. When I was reading that this morning, I really liked that, because I came up in that same belief system, about humility. Humility and honesty can't go together, for whatever reason. I mean, you can't say that you're good at this, or and without being told that you're bragging. No, no. We are what God is. I mean, even in the Bible, right in the very beginning in Genesis, it says that God saw everything that he had made, and it was good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. So for me to say I'm good, that that I am really, I'm great at facilitating study groups. I am a leader now, because at the center we use this word leader now. And I'm saying, well, I don't know, I'm just a facilitator. Just a facilitator. I wasn't giving myself, right. No, I am the leader of 2 study groups at the Center of Peace. I am the leader of the study group that I leave as soon as you finish. I leave. Actually, I leave here. I may leave a little bit earlier, because I've been going there late intentionally. We're supposed to start at 2, but I'll stay here with you till 2. Because I like being here with you. I really do. You open me up. You get my juices flowing, as you say. But that's to remember that, no, I am the power. I am the power, and you are too. I'm not taking anything away from you by saying because I am the power that's individualized as Zulma, and you are the power individualized as Susan. And I can't take anything from you. I can't, because you are whole as you are. Holy. We are holy. Holy means whole. We are whole. You are complete just the way you are. And all that stuff that we were told, we need to just, put that in a bag and let it go with the next recycle. No, not recycle. The next trash that goes out, because they only told us what they thought within their limited scope. And we chose to accept it as true. It's time to realize that that's not the truth anymore. I'm complete.
Yeah, it's so true. I see at the nursing home in which I work, so many of the residents which are older and coming from that old school of humility, they just love to put themselves down. It's I can see that's ingrained. That type of thought system is ingrained in their unconscious mind. I'm not good enough. And we're playing like a little bowling game the other day. Oh, I'm not good enough. I know I'm not going to do well. And I can recognize those thoughts from my own upbringing, and the fact that we were taught to stay small. We were taught to stay humble. I think that might even be like a biblical thing. I don't know, but I do know A Course in Miracles is telling us the opposite. Just acknowledge the fact that we have so much power within us. It is not our strength, it is God's strength. But as you said, Zulma, God is nothing outside of myself. I am a part of He who created me. Cindy, did you want to share? Cindy, do you have your hand raised?
Yeah. Yes, I did. I do. So what came up for me was, unless we become as little children, we will in no way enter the kingdom of heaven. And a child is trusting and believing, and I need to believe these truths that are given to me, that I need to believe, just accept it without reservations, and believe it, and then act on it without listening to the ego tell me differently. So the problem, when we were children, we were told we weren't exactly good things, or we were told how terrible we were, whatever. And those are the echoes of the ego that I am working on in my life to let go of and not listen to them. And that just came up for me. And my thing about, well, what is perfection? And all my perfection beliefs are all about the ego. The ego has taught me what I think is perfection. And my physical habits and my physical body and my even the way I present myself is I judge harshly, too harshly, and I'm realizing that that's holding me back from being the light of the world, which I should, if I am to be a trusting child of God, is to trust that that is the truth about me, and then go forward into the world, sharing it and sharing my light. And that's what came up for me. And I'm going to let go of my.
Thank you, Cindy. I think so many of us are so hard on ourselves. It's just, in a way, what the world teaches. I listened to another amazing podcast by Emily and Robert Perry. Robert Perry is the founder of Circle of Atonement. It was on Jesus, why, I don't remember the exact title, but it's about the crucifixion. Why did Jesus die for our sins? Why was Jesus on the cross? What were we supposed to learn from that? And what they did is they compared the Course in Miracles interpretation of the crucifixion to the traditional Christian interpretation of the crucifixion. And I really thought it was amazingly presented, because this goes to the foundation of everything that I was drawn to in A Course in Miracles. The traditional Christian church teaches us to, in a way, carry that. It's like carrying the rugged cross, carrying the heavy cross, sacrificing our way into God's good graces. That's what good Christians do. They sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice some more. And what A Course in Miracles is saying, and what my little paragraph from my introduction is saying, is I'm much more able to serve God from a place of empowerment and from a place of joy. In fact, when I do find myself sacrificing, I'm not connected with God at all. I'm connecting with my ego. So when I'm sacrificing myself, not only am I disconnecting myself from God, I'm kind of coming from that egoic thought system, because sacrificing is of the ego, which is really, really interesting. And then, to go deeper into the whole crucifixion, did God instruct one of his beloved sons to die on the cross to atone for everybody else's sinful nature? Of course not. That makes no sense. That would make God a vengeful God, and God is not a vengeful God. God is pure love. I think the only important lesson to be learned in the crucifixion is the crucifixion had no power over Jesus. So that teaches us that other people's projection have no power over us. We can do as Jesus did, because we are a son just as he is, right, Zoma? Or I hear someone
Absolutely.
agreeing with
Absolutely.
me.
Cindy,
Can I
Cindy,
interject? Oh,
Cindy,
sorry.
were you going to say something?
I wanted to say really quickly that paragraph, that chapter, when when I read that, that was the pinnacle of my ability to let go as best I could at that time of my guilt, when he said, look, there was no sacrifice. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I just wanted to share that I cried, and it was just a moment in my life where I will never forget. Where I said, okay, I get it. And I began my journey letting go of my guilt, because there was no sacrifice. And anyway, that's all I wanted to share.
Thank you.
Exactly. Sacrificing is impossible. And here's why. Well, here's what the Course says. First of all, the message of the crucifixion is teach only love, for that is what you are. Teach only love, teach only love, teach only love, for that is what you are. If God is love, then we are love, and that's that. But the reason why sacrifice is impossible is if you say, I hear parents say, and I sacrificed not going on a trip to Europe because, to send my son to college. No, you chose to spend the money to send your son to college. It was either go to Europe or send your son to college, and your love for your son, you chose to send him to college. What's the sacrifice about that? You didn't give up anything because you didn't have it. You didn't have the trip to Europe. You didn't have it. It was a decision to either you could have gone on a trip, you could have, but you chose otherwise. There's the Course tells us, choose otherwise. We can't sacrifice. There's no such thing as sacrifice. And when I read that in the, I have to find it. I don't know exactly where that was. But Karen, if you're listening, you might know. But I'll look anyway. When I read it in the Course, I'm like, it took me a bit to figure that out. What do you mean no sacrifice? Oh, it's a choice that I made. I may have been a choice I don't like. Early in the Course, it talks about that, where we, sometimes we have that split mind where we do things we don't want to do, but we still chose to do them because we did them.
And sacrifice causes guilt. They go hand in hand,
That too. But there's the belief in sacrifice. Because if you as the parent, let's say, tell me, and I did this for you, and this is to make you feel guilty. It's to make you feel guilty, and then you feel guilty, and then and then we grow up and we end up in the same place we end up in rooms like this to help us to get free of the belief in guilt, the belief in sacrifice, the belief that we're not enough. It's a belief system. This is a course in mind training. It's a course in mind training. Not that you are guilty, but that you believe you're guilty. Not that you are not good enough, but you believe that you're not good enough. It's the belief system. And in the word belief, we talk about all the time. Dove brought it up. You can either be or you can be in the L-I-E. You can be in the lie. It's a belief. It comes and goes like the wind. It's not real. We just you think it's not. Again, it's our thoughts about the thing, not the thing. It's not that somebody sacrificed to do something for me. No, they made the choice to do that. That was their choice, and then they attempted to use it to make me feel guilty.
Exactly.
That's what Karen has her hand up. Karen has her hand up.
Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Uma. Thanks, everyone. God does not know about sacrifice. I think that's in the atonement and sacrifice as atonement. But, I was going to say basically what Zuma said about belief. It's a belief. It doesn't really matter. Our thoughts really don't matter as much because thoughts can come and go. We can watch our thoughts, and that's the practice. It's the belief. It's believing these thoughts. It's believing these conditioned thoughts that we were told as children. Most of it stems from our childhood. But in chapter 4, section 3, which I really love, he tells us that the ego arose from the separation, and its continued existence depends on your continuing belief in the separation. So it's the same thing as a separation. It's not that there's just the separation, that there is no separation. It's the belief that the separation is real. It's all this talk about thoughts and this and that and the other. That doesn't really matter when it comes down to it. It's the belief. Once we believe it's real, then we suffer. So thank you, because this is really a good conversation.
And thank you so much, Karen. What Regis wrote in the chat room, straight from A Course in Miracles, I love, love, love. He writes, sacrifice is a notion totally unknown to God. It arises solely from fear, and frightened people can be vicious. So again, when I sacrifice myself, I'm not bringing myself closer to God. I'm disconnecting myself from God and siding with my ego. Sacrificing in any way is a violation of my injunction that you should be merciful, even as your Father in heaven is merciful. It has been hard for many Christians to realize that this applies to themselves. Good teachers never terrorize their students. Soma?
Absolutely. And in the second, we're all coming from the same section in the course, because in section 2, it reads, okay, now I lost it. It reads
To the ego?
to the ego. Yeah, and I can't see it. I saw myself. Yeah, to the ego, to give anything implies that you will have to do without. So comparing that, and remember, and in the next paragraph it says the ego lives by comparison. So if you're comparing going on the trip to Europe versus using the money to send your child to college, you made a choice to send your child to college. You chose not to go to Europe. You didn't give it up. You chose that. So to the ego, to give anything implies that you will have to do without. When you associate giving with sacrifice, you give only because you believe that you're getting something better and can therefore do without the thing you give. So if I send my child to college, eventually they're going to pay for my trip to Egypt, to Europe. They're going to be, to praise me for sacrificing my trip for them. So it's the same thing. There is no such thing as sacrifice, and it's as we keep saying, it's a belief system. It's not. There's no such thing. There's no such thing, because what is. It's not either this or that. It's and I make a choice, and when I make a choice, that if I decide to go to the left, that means that the right's not available. It's as simple as that. I didn't give up the right. I didn't give up going to the right. I chose to go left.
Right. And you can even say,
it's also, I guess. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I think it's also coming from a place of abundance as opposed to coming from a place of lack.
Yeah, that's
it's a thought system. It's our thought system to think. If we start from a place that I am with all capital letters. I am power. I am strength. I am truth, because I am what God is. I am love. To be and to have is one. To be and to have is the same. What I am and what I have is one. Everything is available to me. And I use the example, if I don't have sugar in my house, I need sugar. I can go to my next door neighbor and get sugar. I may not have it. The next door neighbor might not have flour. I might have the flour. Between us, we have it all. There's nothing missing. There's nothing missing. We've been taught to think that something has to echo something. We were taught to think that something is missing, that something is lacking, that I'm giving up something.
Yeah.
And sacrifice also, it comes from the thought system. There's not enough. I have to be really, really careful with what I have because there's just not enough. It just a story pops into my mind, and I want to hear from Regis in a moment because you're so wise. Of course, I had a position, a volunteer job in New York City, which I really got so much fulfillment out of it. I wrote about it in my book. I was a hospice volunteer. And the second patient that I was with, her name was Joy, which I wonder if I brought her name into my book, Surrender to Joy, because Joy and I were so close. She was a lovely, beautiful African-American woman. She had cancer. I was with her for about 8 months. And, she did come from the mindset, though, that there was not enough. And I remember one time we needed toilet paper, and she lived on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I ended up rolling her in her wheelchair to about 3 to 4 places to try to find the cheapest price for toilet paper. For whatever the reason, I followed her instructions. And then we needed bird seed. And I remember we went in to get bird seed, and she couldn't decide between like one kind of bird seed or another. And she went back and forth. And finally, she decided not to get any because it was just too expensive. So anyway, Then I met her son, and I went out with her son to get the bird seed. I said, Rory, he was such a lovely man. I said, it's between this bird seed and that bird seed. Your mother couldn't decide which one to get. And Rory says to me, and he grabs both the bird seeds. He just said, let's just buy them both. And I just thought that was so incredibly brilliant that he didn't have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He just bought both the bird seeds, and we ended up having a wonderful friendship. But I just love the fact that his mindset was set on abundance. And I wonder if he got that because he learned from his mother that there is no such thing as deprivation. There's always more than enough to go around. Regis?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Can y'all hear me okay? Great.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so as Zuma was talking uh, about sacrifice, it's also this subtlety of I'm a victim of the world I see. And one of the ways, a phrase that's so commonly used that's really is sacrifice is have to. What's been coming up for me lately, I've taken have to out of my mouth. I have to. That's just, oh, I'm sacrificing. I have to go to work. No, I want to go to work because I like living inside, not outside. I like this computer, this internet service. So my wife said, oh, you have to go to work. No, I'll stop it. Acknowledge, no, I'm going to work today. In this, I have to, it's still a form of sacrifice. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I don't have to. And about sending the child on the trip or the trip. No, I want my child to get education because I don't want them to live in my house till they're 40 years old. I want my child to get an education because I love them and I want them to be able to provide for themselves and have a great financial, healthy life. So it's not I have to send my children to college. No, I want to. I love them. I want them to be successful. I want them to have the best life possible. And if I can do anything to help them have that, I'm willing to do it. I don't have to. When my wife says I have to go to work, I said, no, you don't. You don't have to. Call in. I tell her, call in sick. But just call out if you don't want to say I'm sick. Just tell them I can't come today. You don't have to. I don't need your money. I don't need your money to pay this to live in this house. I don't need your money for the car you drive, for the food you eat. You don't have to. And then when I say that, she just kind of paused. I'm like, don't go. I tell her, don't go. You don't want to go? Don't go. But this I have to is still I'm sacrificing. Oh, life is so hard. And I just gotta, I have to. No, I don't have to. So that's also that Jesus on the cross type of sacrifice. It's not about scarcity, but it's just, I always say, get down off the cross. We need the wood. We don't have to, like, even when it comes to love making, it's like, no, we don't have to make love. No, we don't. If you're sick, if your body hurts, it's off the table. I don't need that sacrifice. You don't need to do that for me. Feel better and you want to make love to me, that's fine. But it's like, but no Regis, no sacrifice. You don't have to cook. Oh, I have to cook today. No, you don't have to cook. You do not cook. If you want to cook, and then cook. But you don't have to cook. Oh, I have to go to the grocery store. No, you don't. You do not. If you want to go, if buying groceries and cooking food is how you want to eat, but you can eat out, I can order Blue Apron online. They'll ship the meals prepared to my door and drop it on the porch. It's like, what do you want to do? I value my budget in this way, so I want to cook because I value my budget and my financial resources this way, so I would rather cook for myself and eat at home. But I don't have to. So I just think that's also a way of looking at this sacrificial mentality that we have. It's so slippery and so sneaky, and we say words on a regular basis like, I have to do this. I have to go to the bathroom. No, I want to go to the bathroom. I want to relieve my bladder. I don't like the pressure that I'm feeling. I don't have to go. Oh,
Yeah.
Just think about that. So I'll shut up right now.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Like take have to out of the vocabulary, take I should. I don't like the word should, and just realize we do things because we want to, we feel guided to, but just like switch from sacrifice to uh just I guess true giving or true desire. I love that, Regis. Thank you, thank you. And I see Cindy has her hand up.
Yeah, Regis, that was very good. I was I was thinking on those lines. I was thinking if with the set with the parent uh, believing that it was a sacrifice, and then in that belief, uh, saying it to the child. I just had this image of what if Jesus was there? He would ask that parent to go below, go deeper than the belief of sacrifice, because what you'll find there, parent, is just really what you're doing. You didn't go to Europe out of love. That's the bottom line. It was really your love, whether you can see it or not. That is the truth. And in doing so, the child is released from any kind of guilt, and also, would be held up and honored, and can carry that through life. So I don't know if that made any sense. I just had to get that out.
Perfect sense. And it also, I've had just in the recent months some bills or expenses that came up that I wasn't expecting. But I allow those, and some of them I don't even feel was justifiable, that you shouldn't be charging me this. But I allowed that to remind me that I am abundant. Guess what? I have the money. I can pay the money. So why am I, this person running their business the way they think they should run it according to their processes and procedures? It doesn't fit what I had in my expectation. But guess what? I can pay the money. I'm blessed, abundant. I'm not in scarcity. I'm not in lack. So I go get me into this shouldn't be happening. I can start shooting all over the experience, or feel like I'm a victim of the world. I see these big companies are taking advantage of me. And none of that is true, because I'm blessed, abundant. What I'm going to do with me when I die, that's what the money is sitting in my bank account for, to self, the choice that I want. I like pizza, money buys pizza. I like ice cream, money buys ice cream. And all of these bills and charges that are being presented to me, blessed and thankful that I have the money to meet those needs and to meet those requests that are being presented to me. So it's still that coming off that cross. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not sacrificing. I'm not being taken advantage of. Is I get to, I want to, I am blessed and abundantly blessed all day, every day.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, very well said. Very, very well said. I mean, I am never a victim of the world I see because I created the world I see. Um, and when I forgive the world for any perceived injustices, what I'm really doing is I'm forgiving myself and I'm releasing the guilt. It's such a heavy concept, and it's so easy to go into the victim mentality, and it just takes discipline to forgive. I mean, forgiveness is not needed in heaven. God does not need to forgive us because he has never condemned us. That was just in one of the recent lessons. But we need to forgive ourselves. Whether we forgive our brother or we forgive ourselves, it's the same thing. We're kind of releasing the guilt. We're kind of releasing the fear. We're stepping into the truth of who and what we are, which is just unconditional love and innocence. And then you just brought up the trip to Europe that Zulma mentioned. It's when the parent is making the son feel guilty that she had to give up her trip to Europe to pay for his college, that's just what a lot of people do, because that's a special relationship.
Yeah.
They give with the expectation of getting something better in return, but they're giving because they want this IOU. They give because they want the recipient of their gift to feel indebted to them. And that's the way I lived for so many years. I think that's the way I was raised. And I think that's how I was in relationships with men, especially, probably with women too, with my friends. But I would do things, for my boyfriend because I was so petrified of being alone. And I felt like if I did enough for them, they would stay with me, but not because they wanted to be with me, because they had to be with me. I wanted them to stay with me. If I didn't think I was good enough to have them be with me just because I was me, I gave them so much because I guess in a way I wanted them to stay with me out of guilt. And again, that's the way I operated for years and years and years, and that's not who God is. God does not want us to be with him out of guilt. God wants us to be with him out of love. God wants us to be with him because he can't force us to do anything. It's up to us to stay with him, to serve him because we want to, but by serving him, we're serving ourselves. It's just a relationship based on freedom. That's, I think, what a holy relationship is. A holy relationship is two people giving to each other, not because they need anything in return, just because it feels so good to give. And that's a relationship based on freedom, based on love. I guess psychologically you would call that an interdependent relationship as opposed to a codependent relationship. A Course in Miracles calls that a holy relationship. A relationship that its foundation is love. Two people do not need each other. They're both whole and complete within themselves, but they just yearn to share with each other. They learn to give to each other, because when we give to our brother with the expectation of getting nothing in return, we feel abundant. We feel the truth of who we are, and and I've had many times in my life where I've experienced that, and it's a fabulous feeling. It's a freeing feeling. It's this connection to divine energy.
It
That
just feels good. It feels good. I'm sorry, Regis, I saw your hand, but it just
that's
feels good.
yeah,
Period. When you do it without expectation, it feels good. So, which is why the Course says when you're giving to yourself. If I'm doing something, I'm choosing to do something for you because I think it's going to make you feel good. I'm feeling good at the time that I'm thinking about giving it to you in the first place. Not so that I give it to you and then you're going to whatever back to me. No, no, no. I'm thinking about, I want to give this to you because and it feels good to me to give it to you, and I think it's going to make you feel good. And that's that. It's not no, there's no bartering here. You can't barter with love. Love has no bartering. I'm sorry, Regis, your turn. Couldn't help that.
oh no, that's great. And I just love what Susan was just saying so much about the relationship with God, with the Father, with the Mother. Because it's something, it was just running through me a few days ago, is we don't realize it, but sometimes if we think about what we're thinking about and how we're relating to the divine, it's like we're relating to God as a abusive lover. Because if I'm only loving you because if I don't love you exactly right or show that express love to you exactly right, I may get punished. I may get beat. I may get punched upside the head. you know, I may have if I'm the sole, if you are the sole provider for this family, financially, that you may withhold money, that I can't buy food. And sometimes we're relating to God that way. We're not loving Him just because. We're loving him because we've been raised in this. We still have this imprint that if I don't dot every T, if I don't dot every I and cross every T, that maybe things are not flowing perfectly in my life as I think they should be flowing because I'm not lining up properly. And I need to impress God and show God how much I love him, how much I'm dedicated to him in order for these things uh, to be as I feel they should be in my life. In order to have enough money, enough health, enough friends, enough family, maybe in some way I'm offending my abusive lover, and he's not allowing these things to flow in my life, and that's just absolutely not true. It's just absolutely not true. And any or twinkle of that, uh, and I said to my brother, the earlier part of this, he said, "What is your greatest moment of your life?" I said, "When I really realized that I am the beloved child of God in whom He is well pleased, and it is not performance based." And that's the key. I'm the beloved child of God in whom He's well pleased. But here's the key: it's performance based. I don't have to jump through hoops. I don't have to be a cheerleading section for God and tell God how great He is. That's our praise and worship. you know, I don't have to do any of that. It's not performance based. It is the status. I'm holy because my creation is holy. Holy is our status. Holiness is our status. It's not our conduct in what we do. It is our status because what created us is holy. So, Susan, you brought all that up. That's your fault that I'm talking right now.
Everything that you're saying is so wise and I was going to say perfect, but it is perfect for me to hear. It's just so wise. I love it. I'm taking notes here. It's I mean, the mind is all encompassing. So, how we treat one person is how we treat everyone. How we treat our brothers, how we relate to our brothers is how we relate to God. I mean, Jesus saw Christ in all his brothers after he attained enlightenment because he embodied the Christ within himself. So he saw the face of Christ in all his brothers, and he was able to be the beautiful Son of God that we all are, So because the mind is all encompassing, once we can connect to that loving state, we automatically see the beauty within our brothers. And when we can't connect, well, then I guess we see the insecurities in our brother. So it's about, like, I use the phrase being plugged into my God socket. When I'm plugged into my God socket, I can see that God-like state in all my brothers. And I love that you said it's not performance based. Again, as a child, I related to my father as though he was my God, and uh, he was nice to me. He gave me accolades. He gave me brownie points. He gave me his love when I did good things. And when I disobeyed him, he took his love away from me. He punished me. So for years, I projected this false persona onto a false God because this is how I was raised. When I performed well, I was given a false sense of love. And when I did not perform well, in fact, when I did things that didn't align with what my father wanted me to do, I was punished. So for years, I saw a punitive God, but this is not the truth of who God was. This is just what lived inside my mind, and I was projecting onto a false God. So it's so important to become aware of this, and A Course in Miracles just helped me change this whole false ideology. And And then the other thing that you so wisely said, Regis, is God does not need us to tell him how great he is. He doesn't need our praise, but in a way, um, because he's not an ego. So when when we tell him how great he is, like he just, well, I mean, he knows he's unconditional love, so he doesn't need our praise. But in a way, for us to acknowledge his greatness it's I guess something inside of us that gets ignited. I
Yes,
mean,
I
God
agree.
is great and so am I. God is good and so am I. God, so it's like when we praise him, we're kind of feeling how wonderful we are. Like when I see the beauty in Zulma and I say, Zulma, you're so beautiful. I mean, I feel good. I feel
Yep.
good by seeing the beauty in my brother. That's how the mind works.
Yes.
So
Can I
I
say?
And you're coming from your own beauty. You're coming from within with that, and that's the thing. As you see it, and that's the beauty of it. When you're talking
Yeah.
about your father, and I heard you getting ready to say something, Cindy. Wait a minute.
Okay.
You're talking about your father. It made me think of when Regis used to talk about Santa Claus. It's the Santa Claus syndrome. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Daddy's watching. He sees you when you're sleeping, and he sees you when you're awake, and he knows if you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. It's the Santa Claus syndrome. And Regis, the first time I heard that, it was with Regis, and I've been using it ever since. It's absolutely, but that's the whole thing. We're not talking about God. First of all, the course uses traditional terminology, but God isn't even a him. It's not a
Right.
he. It's not a he. It's written because a lot of what it's in the course is quoted from the Bible. A lot of it. A lot of it. A lot of it. In fact, Ken Wapnick had a book about it, and it's not in print anymore. There's another one I just got. It's super thick. There are lots of biblical passages or references. The whole he them. It's written in the Bible that Jesus said, and I always say I don't know if he said it or not because I wasn't there, but it's written that he said that God is spirit. That's not a he. And it's not a she, but that's the language that's used. And in the course, in the preface, it says it's using that traditional language. So
Yeah.
it's not a he. So no, life doesn't need my praise. I'm in gratitude for it, and I'm saying thank you, thank you, life, for another day. Thank you, God, for another day. Thank you, Spirit, for another day. Whatever. But I'm real clear. I'm really clear. If I'm reading the course, I'll say he, but you never hear me refer to God as he. It's it to me, because it is.
Agreed.
Spirit is it.
there's a lot of spiritual religious practices that say father, mother, God, he, she. I know that God does not have a gender. God is like you said, Zulma, spirit. He's not body. He's not a masculine or a feminine. He's just a spirit. For whatever the reason, I don't have a problem with the terminology of A Course in Miracles. I mean, I guess it gets its terminology from religion just so we can understand its concepts. It uses words. I don't really
I,
have a problem with the terminology, but I do know that God is not a gender. God is not a body, so he can't be masculine or feminine, right?
I borrowed the words source energy from you.
Yeah.
Source energy. I use that now.
Yeah.
Source. It's incorporated, but never he, never she. It's always an it. Source energy. I wouldn't say he. I wouldn't, if I was. Is source energy a man or is it a woman? No, it is. It is part of me. Einstein calls it energy. You call it source energy. They work for me. When I talk to people, who say they don't believe in God, then I go to the word energy. I ask what their concept of God is. They tell me they're not into that. I understand. I understand. And I said, and the God that I learned about in school, I'm not into that either. And I say that, and then I bring energy in. I like source energy because now we're talking, it gives it a firmer foundation for me. I like that source energy. So no masculine or feminine for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, words are just communication tools. I mean, you can call God whatever you want. You can call God, I mean, you can use a swear word and refer to God in meaning love, but like he doesn't care what we call him. It's just he is the essence of unconditional love. I mean, I've heard someone call him Herman, I've heard people call him different things, or her, and it's just to know that he or she is pure unconditional love and empowerment and power, and strength and innocence are the same, and our strength comes from this source that is greater than us but that we're a part of, and God's full strength is available to us anytime we can release our fear, anytime we can release the ego. We can just connect to him totally and completely, just as Jesus did. Course in Miracles tells us everything that Jesus said, everything, I have everything that God is. The difference between you and me now is that I have nothing else. You still have some ego in you, but that's gonna disappear in time. Cindy?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I want to go back to the word praise. Everything you're saying, Zuma, when you're on your little roll, which I loved, I really do like when you get on rolls. Praise, for me, praise is just going through life in love. And that's probably for me, the truest, form of praise there is. But I wanted to just throw this out too. In the Old Testament, and I started looking for all the different references to praise, and what I found was when these characters were in the midst of they used the word enemy, but when they were going through their trials and tribulations, they were singing praises as a powerful weapon. I'll use that word against whatever force they were up against. And I just thought that was very interesting. And so I started to practice that when I was in fear. I just started, singing praise songs or quoting praise verses out of the Old Testament. And it really did help me get a jump start out of my fear, and so I just wanted to share that I don't know why, but it helps me a lot, and that's all. So anyway, thank you, Zuma. I like what you were saying. I really
No,
did.
that's really good to use mental techniques to help you to realize that fear is not real. Fear has no power over you. So, because that's what A Course in Miracles is helping us to do. I think that's brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. So it is actually 2:00.
Oh, I took all
And
your time. I'm sorry.
no, I love you didn't take the time. Your wisdom was beautiful and priceless, and I love it. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Zulma and Regis and Cindy. It's just so wonderful sharing with my Course in Miracles brothers and sisters. As A Course in Miracles says, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God, the peace, the power, the joy, the love, the beauty, and it's all good. It's all so very good. And I love you all. And the only thing that's real is the love, of course. Thank God for that. Thank God for A Course in Miracles. And I will now return the microphone to Lynn.
Thank you so much, Susan Michelle, and thank you everyone who joined in. What a wonderful hour of sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and I'll be looking for